Nevada grows 385,000 acres of the world's finest alfalfa hay. I'd like to take over about 10% of that as a cover crop. If we could get 40,000 acres of industrial hemp growing in Nevada, we'll have a $300 million industry.
That's Bob Daniell from American Hemp Corporation in Reno, Nevada. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. My name is Eric Herlock, and today I will be talking to Bob Daniell to learn as much as I can about American Hemp Corporation, what they do, how they're doing it, and why they think industrial hemp is going to be big in Nevada. We're also going to talk to Kelly Kundratek from Team Pennsylvania about the upcoming Pennsylvania Hemp Summit. We'll take a quick sponsor break here, and then we'll come back with some nuggets of hemp news, and I'll tell you a little bit about my unexpected journey to the Noco Hemp Expo. This episode is brought to you in part by Impactful Ventures, who encourage you to support the U.S. Hemp Building Foundation in their fundraising efforts for the creation and submittal of the proposed Hemp Lime IRC appendix and accompanying testing. Visit ushba.org/USHBF to donate and learn more. This episode is brought to you in part by Ihemp Michigan. Join us at the 2022 Midwest Ihemp Expo as we talk about the power of hemp. On May 20th and 21st, Ihemp Michigan is host to the Midwest's largest cannabis trade show. With over 30 breakout education sessions, both business-to-business and consumer-focused education, the show will be packed with opportunities to network and learn. Visit ihempmichigan.com to learn more. All right, just a few nuggets of hemp news for this last week of March 2022. This first one comes from the land down under. It's from hemptoday.net. It says, Australian state to review Hemp Act as stakeholders say rules are too strict. The government in the Australian island state of Tasmania has indicated it will revisit its Industrial Hemp Act amid concerns by stakeholders that current rules and regulations are holding back the industry. Guy Barnett, Minister for Primary Industries and Water, says the government is reviewing the Industrial Hemp Act of 2015 to make sure the regulation continues to support the industry needs. He says his government worked closely with industry to establish this act, and they'll do the same through the review. Tasmania grows roughly a third of Australia's industrial hemp with an estimated farm gate value of around $375 million US. All right, a little closer to home, this next story is about hemp in the Show Me State. The story is on hempgrower.com, and it says that the Missouri Department of Agriculture has awarded grants to 4 hemp processors to expand fiber processing capacity in the state. The maximum award was $200,000 with a minimum 25% cash match required. The funds came from $700,000 appropriated by the Missouri General Assembly to build out the state's hemp fiber processing infrastructure. The businesses that received these grants are Midwest Natural Fiber, LLC, Tiger Fiber Incorporated, Hemp Solutions, LLC, and Rockwater, LLC. Congrats to you. Looking forward to some great fiber coming out of Missouri. All right, speaking of fiber, this next story is also on hempgrower.com, and it says that IND Hemp has launched All Walks Hemp Herd Animal Bedding at the Global Pet Expo that just took place in Florida last week. IND Hemp's new brand, All Walks, has entered the pet products marketplace with its premium hemp herd animal bedding. All Walks is a wholly owned brand of hemp-based pet products created by IND Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana. And then here, this part's not in the story, but I know this because I heard from the folks at IND Hemp that their product came in 3rd place in the small animal category in the new product showcase at that Global Pet Expo last week in Florida. So congratulations to IND Hemp. Look at that, right out of the gate, they have an award-winning product. And also, speaking of IND Hemp, they've also just officially announced a strategic supply partnership with Hemptexture for domestically produced hemp fiber non-woven insulation. Co-founder and CEO of Hemptexture, Maddie Mead, he says that Hemptexture's partnership with IND Hemp represents more than just a critical supply chain solution. It represents the restoration of American manufacturing, the empowerment of rural economies, and forward-thinking innovation in sustainable materials. Yeah, so looking forward to seeing great things with this partnership with IND Hemp and Hemptexture. All right, and you know that I&D Hemp is one of the sponsors of our show, but I guarantee you that even if they weren't, I would still be talking about them because what they're doing is amazing. So yeah, hats off to you guys. All right, and finally here is a story much closer to home. This one's from Pennsylvania. It's on WGAL.com, and it says that the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board is reversing its decision from last year and now says it will not allow beer and wine licensees to sell edible products containing CBD. So just as an aside, here in Pennsylvania, there is a government agency that controls the sale of alcohol in the state. Whatever. Anyway, Wednesday's decision to rescind approval was made at the request of the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. A Liquor Control Board spokesman said that the Ag Department told the Liquor Board that the sale of such consumable products is illegal in Pennsylvania. Yeah, we need some legislation around this, or regulation, or some guidance from the FDA. But where's that? Come on, people, figure this out. All right, so that's the news nuggets for this week, and you can find links to these stories on the show page for this episode at lancasterfarming.com. On last week's show, I mentioned that it would take an absolute miracle to get me to the Noco Hemp Expo in Denver. Well, miracles do happen, and I was there on Thursday and Friday last week. And wow, what an expo. I had never been to Noco before, but it was amazing. The expo floor with all the products and all the people was fantastic. I also sat through some really informative, breakout sessions about regenerative farming and, hemp on tribal lands and all kinds of great stuff. And I met fantastic people. I was able to meet people that I had only, met virtually before, or had only read about, or had seen their posts on the social media. So it was great to connect with folks in the industry. And I did conduct a handful of good interviews, at least I think they're good, and I'll be sharing those with you in the coming weeks. I got to sit down with Joe Hickey. He's a hemp pioneer from Kentucky. I talked to J.J. Johnson. He's a hemp educator from Texas. I also sat down and talked to Maren Krings. She's a German journalist who has just published this beautiful book called H is for Hemp. It's printed on hemp paper, and it documents her journey all over the world, looking at different hemp projects and how people are using hemp around the world. I also had the chance to interview Sergey Kovalenkov from Ukrainian hempcrete company Hempire. So I'm going to be sharing these interviews with you over the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for those. But yeah, Noco was fantastic, and I am just absolutely grateful for the opportunity to go there and to connect with people in the industry. And I am just absolutely in awe of how the universe works sometimes, Yeah, so thank you. All right, so coming up on today's show, as I mentioned in the intro, is an interview with Bob Daniell from American Hemp Corp. And also we're going to check in with Kelly Kondratek from Team Pennsylvania. That's the group that is putting on the Pennsylvania Hemp Summit here in a few weeks. I'm actually going to be at that reception. They've asked me to MC the Shark Tank competition. So, I like sharks, so that should be fun. What could go wrong? So I hope to see you all out there, but you're about to learn a little more information about it with this interview from Kelly Kondratek. And also, you heard in the sponsor spots that the Midwest Hemp Expo is taking place in Michigan at the end of May. I'm going to be there too. I'm going to be doing a little emceeing there as well. So hope to see you somewhere out there in the world of hemp expos and summits this spring. All right, so that's enough chit chat for me. Let's get into our interviews. Kelly Kondratek from Team Pennsylvania, welcome back to our podcast. How are you doing?
I'm great, Eric. Thanks. Always good to be here.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's that time again for the Pennsylvania Hemp Summit. And I think this is the first one to take place like live and in person since the original one in 2019, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're very eager. We know others are very eager to get back in person.
Yeah. Well, so tell me about it. When is it?
Yep. So it is just under a month away, April 26th and 27th.
Okay.
That's a Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay. And so what's in store this year?
So this event, we wanted to make a little bit different since we won't have the educational sessions. We hosted those at the end of last year. This is the postponed in-person event. So what we've done to make that different, we'll have the trade show, we'll have the reception as we did in 2019, but we're adding an investor pitch competition. So I think those are all some elements that people may be interested to engage with.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me more about that investor pitch competition.
Absolutely. So like I said, we wanted to make something a little bit different for this time around, bring people out kind of, and at the same time, showcase the innovation that's going on in the industry. And so what we're doing is we're hosting a Shark Tank investor pitch competition. We'll have a panel of investor judges or judges that are experts in the industry and companies that are pitching their concepts to the judges, and the judges will make their selections on who wins.
And will they actually then invest in that company?
You know, if the individual investors are inspired by that, certainly they have, if they have the investment capacity, but we have prizes for the individuals that do win.
Excellent. And then at the reception, are there speakers? Is there some sort of agenda?
Yeah, so for the reception itself, we're going to have the networking session, and we'll actually just present the investor pitch awards at that reception. So the reception will start at 6:00. We'll do the awards at 6:30, and the reception will continue until 8. Okay,
so that in the Shark Tank thing is during the day on Tuesday?
Yep. The companies will pitch around 2:00 from 2 to 4, give the judges some time to deliberate if they need it, and then be ready for awards at 6:30.
All right, cool.
The trade show, I'll mention too, I didn't mention this, the trade show hours will extend through the networking reception. So people can, mingle with one another, mingle with the booths, and see the full trade show as well.
All right, good. And you're getting people from all over the country and all over the world to come set up at the Expo?
Yeah, so I don't have the full list in front of me. My partner who works in organizing the event, she has it, but we've got a number of exhibitors signed up, invested in coming to be there as part of the trade show.
Okay, cool. Do you want to mention the sponsors that are helping you put this on?
Absolutely. So I do want to give a special shout out to the sponsors that have been involved. It's been a really trying few years in trying to get back in person. So certainly the sponsors that have stuck with us over these couple of years in making this in-person portion a reality. Certainly Lancaster Farming is a media partner with us. The Ag Business Development Center at the Department of Agriculture, Air Products, Barley Snyder, Customers Bank, New Holland, King's Agri-Seeds, and Country Folks Grower.
Oh, cool. All right. Lots of familiar names there. It's nice that we have this, community developing here in the state. Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to mention about it? I know you've got the trade show coming up again in November, with the educational components. That's still happening in November?
Yes, it is. So the event will take place, the full summit, as I like to kind of describe it, with the educational portions and trade show and reception again, will take place in November 8th and 9th back at the Lancaster County Convention Center. So same place. I will mention that registration, if you're interested in attending in April and November, there's a registration discount to do that. So make sure that you get registered in advance and you can attend both events.
Good. And then people can register at pahempsummit.com?
Yes, all the information's online at pahempsummit.com. If you're unable to access that, you can give us a call at our offices. We're happy to help. That's 717-233-1375. But we'll also have on-site registration available for the April event, likely for November, but talking about April. As space allows, we'll be having on-site registration.
Okay. And it's the Lancaster County Convention Center, which is downtown Lancaster City, right?
Downtown Lancaster City. Yep.
Right. Okay. So some people listening might not know that Lancaster is not only a county, but it's a city. Yeah. I don't know if we need to explain that.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably worthwhile to say. And we've really enjoyed hosting the event there. There's a lot of space. It's a great facility to gather and see the beauty of both the county when you're traveling in and the city itself. So
yeah, the city is great. There's a lot of good restaurants right around in that area too. So,
yes, yeah. I won't plug all my favorites, but there's a lot of good ones around in the city.
Cool. All right. Well, Kelly, it's great to talk to you, and we look forward to seeing you next month in Lancaster.
Likewise, Eric. Thanks so much.
Bob Daniell from American Hemp Corporation. Welcome to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing terrific. We got a beautiful day out here in Reno, Nevada.
Good. I wonder if you could give us a brief introduction.
Sure. I'm president and COO of a small startup company called American Hemp Corporation. It's got a very large vision of creating an industrial hemp industry here in the state of Nevada. Nevada is a little unusual because it has a lot of microclimates, and we're reclamating desert soil when we put hemp in the ground. We're focused at fiber and grain. A little bit about myself. I've been in supply chain management for pretty much 40 years. I used to head up all of Siemens supply chains in North America, so I know a little bit about operating in the big time arena. Been a longtime member of the Association of Supply Chain Management. I've been a certified SCORE instructor for the operational model that exists. I'm a certified Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, so I understand how numbers can tell a story. Also on contract, still with Aberdeen Proving Grounds in support of the C5ISR command and control information, military intelligence. I work with them on different programs. We're looking forward to this year finally breaking through and moving away from being a research and development nanotechnology company into getting into light manufacturing, handling, processing, in support of the Nevada Industrial Hemp Fiber Cooperative, which I'll talk a little bit about later on.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, let's dig in on what it is American Hemp Corporation does. How's the business set up? What are your goals? What are your services?
Today, we're a limited liability corporation. We are for profit. We're what we call an ecosystems integrator. Now, what that means is when you look at the three segments of supply chain, we have the segment of assured supply, which is where the grower and the farmer come into play. We have assured refinement, which is where the off-taker, the processor, the handler, the manufacturer come into play. And then we have assured demand, where we have targeted customers. So when we're talking about ecosystems integration, we're talking about all of the elements from sourcing of seed, and we have not worked in the area of genetically modifying anything. When we've run our Genesis plots over the last several years, testing what varietals work in what soils, we've done only AOSCA certified seed, working with companies like International Hemp and Eric Singular and Terry Moran over there. Great people. So that when we're looking at putting seed in or procuring it and putting it in the ground and all the cultivation aspects of industrial hemp, we've got some challenges out here because a lot of farmers flood irrigate. And when you have clay and water and you don't have the right soil amendments, then you're just wasting a lot of seed. So we've been, as a Nevada agricultural product dealer, I'm able to procure seed at very handsome rates. And I distribute those pro bono to the farmers, no charge. And we encourage them to grow as much hemp as they want, because we are putting things into play where they're going to, field a dream strategy. If they grow it we're going to have a field that they can send that hemp to. They don't have that today. Our ambitions are to, this year, we will have a biochar operation running. We're going to probably mix that in with some fish farming from one of our board of directors who has connections there. Put some nitrates together with the biochar and maybe make some soil amendments. And we think we have a recipe that is patentable. And we're working very closely with the Nevada Industrial Hemp Fiber Cooperative, which I helped co-found back in 2019. I'm currently the secretary on the board. And that is a not-for-profit. We're recasting that as a new generation co-op where there's a lot of advantages for farmers and growers. We're going to be floating some stock and that kind of thing. And so we hope that this is the breakthrough year for our company and for the region in Nevada.
Okay. There's a lot there to dig in on. First, tell me about the farmers that you're giving seed to. How many farmers are you working with?
Right. We've had 15 Genesis plots with 4 farmers over the last couple of years. We've also been working with the University of Nevada at Reno and also with the Desert Research, more extensively with the Desert Research Institute on phytoremediation, how industrial hemp sucks up contaminated soil. So those are the really, in our Genesis plots, we've been, anywhere from 2.5 acres to 5 acres per plot. And these farmers are alfalfa farmers. So Nevada grows 385,000 acres of the world's finest alfalfa hay. I'd like to take over about 10% of that as a cover crop. If we could get 40,000 acres of industrial hemp growing in Nevada, we'll have a $300 million industry.
Wow. How long do you think it'll take to get to 40,000 acres?
I think it'll probably take another 3 to 5 years. Once the Nevada Industrial Hemp Fiber Cooperative starts to generate revenue and farmers can see that they're going to come running to this thing the way we've got the model set up. We're not necessarily concerned about the number of farmers. We have some farmers that have large tracts of land here. And if they want to grow industrial hemp as a cover crop, that's great. We also have access to people in Idaho and Montana that are sitting on top of 5,000 bales of industrial hemp right now in hay barns. They don't know what to do with it. It's the left hand not knowing what the right hand is. We got IND Hemp up there with Ken Elliott and his fine operation, but not all the farmers understand that Ken exists. And so there's a lot of supply out there where we really and this is one of the reasons why I pivoted the company away from research and development now to light manufacturing, is because there's so much industrial hemp sitting around that we don't have to worry about growing it in order to refine it.
So what are you going to refine it into? And then who are you going to sell it to?
Right. Well, we're going to start with biochar. That's really the operation. In fact, come the end of May, we're expecting to receive our first decorticator and our first gasifier. We're going to be setting up a hemp processing center #1 in Wabusca, Nevada. It's on a large tract of land right near a geothermal facility that one of our farmers / businessman happens to be CEO of. And we think there's a lot of opportunity where we can use hothouses to grow our seed to a point where we can take it and then use that as fish food for the fish tanks, and then take the fish nitrates, combine it with the biochar. So our board of directors is pretty well staffed. We've got the former CEO of Aquaponics, which is a cooperative for fish farming shrimp. Over in Oregon, just across the border, there's a large tilapia, and about 70 miles further east of where we're going to be building our first hemp processing center, I like to call them satellite centers, is a Norwegian operation where they're going to be growing salmon. So this part of Nevada seems to be inclining itself to fish farming. We want to take advantage of that.
Okay. You're also relatively close to the Central Valley of California too, right? Do you see some of your business going that way too?
Absolutely. In fact, one of our first customers is in California. He's a large compost maker, and he's looking forward to getting all the biochar recipes that we can send him. We have to go through Donner Pass in the wintertime, so it can get pretty deep with the snow there. But we're an hour away from that region.
Okay. You mentioned the co-op, and that the way it's set up, farmers are going to be running to you. Can you talk about, what's special about how you set the co-op up?
Yeah, they will take out membership, a very low entry fee. For a farmer, it'd be $250. And you can see this on the www.nihfc.com website. Once they want to apply, and the board says, okay, you seem to be an eligible person, then they have to go through a process of looking at what we call a subscription agreement. And the subscription agreement defines the Series A, B, and C preferred stock. It's in the subscription agreement where the farmer and the board come to a par value on what the farmer would get for a Series A stock. A Series A stock is valued by the board of directors. Once he gets that approved, he goes over to a member marketing agreement, and it's there where he and the board will negotiate what his delivery rights are going to be. So if he wants to deliver 100 acres or 1,000 acres, he's going to pay the price of that preferred stock up front. That's how the co-op gets its working capital. All right. And then he'll get paid patronage fees based on the fact that the farmers own 52% of the co-op. All right. Companies like me, who would be called an affiliate member, we own 24%, and investors will own 24%. So we have a Series A for the farmer, Series B. Now, obviously, that preferred stock will appreciate in value if the board does its job, right? And so when the farmer delivers his 100 acres or 1,000 acres, he gets paid for those delivery rights. It's the same way for the handlers. If I produce 100 tons of biochar, and that's what I signed up for, then the co-op is the one that's marketing those products to customers around the country. We got one customer that says, I could use 30 tons of biochar a month.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, let us scale up first. We'll get there.
Okay, that's great. So it sounds like you've got the farmers' interest sort of ahead of everybody. They own the majority share. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a fourth generation farmer on the board of directors. He's an experienced hemp farmer as well as a agricultural product provider. And he's about 20 years younger than I am, 25 years younger. So we're looking at trying to grow leadership, develop leadership, as a couple of us that have founded this move on in life. And we have younger people coming into the fray to help carry the momentum.
Good. You mentioned your sort of understanding of supply chains, with your work with Siemens. If you were, designing this hemp supply chain, what would you do? How I don't know, are there things about the supply chain now as it's developing that you would want to change, or how do we make this thing work the best for everybody?
I'm kind of a outside the box purist type of guy. I don't like a lot of middlemen. This is going to sound a little maybe out of normal business thinking, but the commodity exchanges should not be setting the prices for this stuff. I like pure supply and demand. I took a blockchain course at MIT in 2018, and my paper was on creating hemp chain. Hemp chain was an end-to-end supply chain for industrial hemp. So what the vision is that if we can put on the blockchain the capability of validating the type of seed that we bought, where we sourced it from, everything else that would be associated with that asset. And then that seed would be provided to the farmers. The farmers grow. Now, a month or two before they harvest, and hemp grows pretty fast, so let's say a month before they harvest, I could see putting out a broadcast on the blockchain that says, I'm Farmer Joe, and I'm putting this broadcast out to people on the blockchain that are members of the blockchain in the co-op. And people don't always have to be in the state of Nevada to be in the co-op, the Nevada co-op, right? Because as a not-for-profit, it can do business anywhere.
Okay.
And put out a broadcast and say, I've got 100 acres of industrial hemp, this varietal. I expect to have 3,500 pounds per acre, blah, blah, blah. Who would like to bid on it? And we get rid of the commodity exchange. That's where I'd like to see this going. But that's going to take a little bit of time because I don't have the resources right now to code in Solidity and put the blockchain up, but I know what we got to do.
Okay.
And this is more than just trace and track. This is a full end-to-end enterprise for industrial hemp. And I can see this going to the CIO of the state of Nevada, where he can provide oversight and monitoring as to the transactions. They can get access to information immediately. It's irrefutable. You know, I believe in companies like Carnegie Mellon or universities like Carnegie Mellon that have had Hedera, Hashgraph. They've solved the proof of stake issues. So there's a lot of things going on. It's just, we're very much a pioneer in all of this stuff. So there's a lot of, we understand what we want to do. We're like any other company. Now we got to find the resources and the investors. And I've had 2 investors already in my company, angel investors. So it's been very helpful to be able to move from point A to point B.
Okay. And you're actively seeking more investors now?
Absolutely. You know, and when we announce, and I've been very low key, you're the first one to hear this publicly. When I announce our first hemp processing center in Northern Nevada, that's going to get people really excited. And we're so close to the Idaho-Montana borders. Now, American Hemp is working with the co-op on biochar and that type of operation. But American Hemp has its own business strategy set apart on creating industrial hemp oil and meal. And there's a marketplace for that. I don't know if people know this, but a gallon of hemp oil sells for $57 a gallon. And if you squeeze hemp hearts, that's $127 a gallon. And you can also make alternative fuels, and the way gasoline's going and the way society is going right now, we think we're on the right track. So I've got an operation we're going to look at in terms of outsourcing in the beginning before I bring it down here to Wabusca and add it to the hemp processing center to squeeze oil and meal.
Okay. So when do you think that oil processor would be up and running?
We could have that up and running probably the end of May, 1st of June.
Okay.
But it'll be at the outsourcer, not located in Nevada.
Okay. So can you tell me a bit about like the actual hemp program in Nevada? You know, like are there many growers throughout the state? Are they growing primarily for CBD at this point, or you sort of what's the lay of the land?
Because of Las Vegas and Clark County, all the power resides way down there in Las Vegas and Mead, and everybody else is kind of an afterthought population-wise. We've got a ton of farmers in the state of Nevada. They're all growing in microclimates. They're all scattered all over the place. And I know we're the 7th largest state physically, people would look at Nevada and say, you're desert, you're dry. BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, owns 80% of you've got a lot of challenges. But what you don't understand is we got an enormous amount of water underground from the Sierra Nevadas. And if you have water rights, you're okay. A lot of farmers 65% of Nevada farmers are under 50 acres. So they're dependent on the rivers, the Carson River, the Truckee River, these kind of things. And if we have a couple of dry years like we've had in the past, water allocation rights can be very difficult. But we've got a lot of geothermal water at some very special strata levels where the water comes up almost potable. It's very little in adverse mineral content like lithium or boron, and but it contains, comes up about 200 degrees, and you can use that for a lot of applications. And so we have our goals. As American Hemp is also a federal contractor. Because of my background and everything, once we start generating some products, I can go back to the research and development arm of the United States Army and say, we've got some hemp oil, hemp meat. My level 1 manufacturing would be hemp oil and meal. That's to get us going. The second level is in the production of cellulose, nanocellulose, and crystalline nanocellulose, which is a little known subject, but it sells for $35 a gram right now. And it's a little bit of an advanced manufacturing, but it makes use of the cellulosic attributes of industrial hemp, which are very tightly, 100 times molecular-wise tighter than anything else in Mother Nature. So we could take advantage of that. And companies are taking advantage of the fibers and the short and long-term long fibers in door panels. You could advance building concepts, advanced structural things like putting it on door panels and stuff. But the Ukraine, oddly enough, in Kiev University is the finest repository, or there is, I don't know what's the status, of industrial hemp knowledge in the world. And they set on that knowledge very, very scrupulously. They were very careful about letting that knowledge out. And they've done things that are amazing in the Ukraine. Supercapacitors and hemp batteries have proven to be far more efficient than lithium batteries. And yet here we are going to be opening up one of the world's largest lithium mines in the state of Nevada, here up in Tucker Valley. It's technology is moving so fast that if we can get industrial hemp past the lobbyists, and we can get industrial hemp in the state of Nevada, we have a very strong Nevada Department of Agriculture. We went through our NAC 577 routines. We got a state plan finally this year. Very good people under Jennifer Ott, and they're very conscientious about observing. And to answer your question, we've been a CBD state. We got drunk on CBD 4 or 5 years ago. A couple of years back, we lost $31 million on CBD when the market fell out. So I've written Congress. I write Senator Masco and Rosen all the time, and I say we need to segment in hemp. The CBD marketplace usurped the term hemp to get around it, and we lost sight of the fact. And there's a lot of confusion out there still and misinformation. The medicine man comes through and says, here's the magic elixir. We need to segment industrial hemp for industrial purposes, medicinal hemp, all right, recreational hemp, and go on and go on. Maybe there's 5 different segments, and we need to set standards and controls for that. Yeah. How do we do that? Well, we got the monoecious and the dioecious. We got male and female, we've got CBD versus industrial. And you start dealing with planning this stuff demographically around the state, you could be wiping out somebody's crops if you're not doing this correctly. So this is a problem that's going to rise up. I know a lot of the Indian tribes are doing CBD. That's another thing. I'm also secretary of the American Water Trust. You can look at that, AmericanWaterTrust.org. And we are a board of trustees that will oversee a board of directors that will manage the Indian tribes around North America, 600 of them. There's something like $7 billion that they have allocated to rewild, if I can use that term, rewild water. However, they're not real good at scaling and scoping large projects. That's where I come in play. as a large scale supply chain Lean Six Sigma guy, we can help educate the Indian tribes on how to scale and scope their projects, because we want them to run their projects for the betterment of their tribe.
Sure.
Every tribe is different. Some are more inclined to do this, and we'll just take the good and the bad as it comes along. So we're going to be doing a strategic partnership with the Nevada Industrial Hemp Fiber Cooperative and the American Water Trust. One of the guys that sits on both those boards is a guy named Jonathan Butts from Natural Action Technologies. This is a revitalized water guy. He understands how to use structured water to improve the microbial development of soil. All right. And by reorganizing the molecules, it sounds like the science is there. All right. It's irrefutable now. But by reorganizing the water molecules, you affect the delivery of nutrients into the soil. And hemp, it starts searching sideways real quick, and it can't get through the clay. Or if you don't have amended soils, the plant's going to not germinate. Right? We learned that. We planted in the worst desert soil in the first year because that's where we wanted to start.
Sure.
And we learned our lessons, and we've gradually improved over time.
Good. For you personally, was there like a moment that you realized hemp was the direction you needed to go in?
When I was still not retired back on the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, I started, my youngest son, Matthew, was in the cannabis industry for 10 years in California as an operations manager. He would be educating me. And then he started to talk about this advanced stuff, the cellulosic derivatives. And I started to look into this, and I must have spent 6 months researching all of the stuff that has been documented with industrial hemp and what it used to be in America and everything. And I looked at this and I said, from a supply chain standpoint, this is a no-brainer. We just got to get past the oil lobby and plastics, and I think, regardless of your political affiliations, the current administration is very friendly towards industrial hemp and promoting it. And I'm very close with Erica Stark McBride at the National Hemp Association, and knows, I've been called a good steward of the industrial hemp industry. I'm very much interested in helping other people get to their point B, and we can do that through knowledge. Some people have a lot of money. We just haven't run into those people. I mean, I came out thinking that I was going to have a billionaire support to do this. And for 7 months we courted, and then we just didn't see eye to eye after a while, and we separated. So going back to America, and you can become anybody and anything you want to be in America, I decided to say, well, let's have some fun and let's start up a company and put some broad action programs in place and some projects to support that. And let's see if we can hit the ball out of the park.
All right. How did you choose Reno, Nevada? You said you were back east on the Chesapeake. How did you end up out there?
That was kind of easy. My oldest son was living in Reno, Nevada, and he was working for that billionaire, and he was his project director. And things changed pretty quickly after we moved out here. And like I said, after 7 months, it fell from grace. So my oldest son's out here, my youngest son's in Los Angeles. Okay. And it was family.
Yeah,
it was family. And I'm going to speak right to the cuff. My entire life, I've been trained to work in a job. And you trade time for money. I'd like to leave a product business and manufacturing to my sons and my daughter, and let them experience some of the different aspects of life that come along with having an asset like that.
That's really nice to hear. You're talking about billionaires. I'm really surprised that some of these great big billionaires aren't getting into hemp more quickly, right? Because they could have such an immediate impact on on not just the industry, but on, on agriculture, on climate mitigation. Like there's so many reasons that like, come on, Jeff Bezos, stop screwing around with going to the moon and let's work on this planet.
Yeah. They're out there. Yeah. If you look at India, you look at some of the European countries, there's a lot of money behind those operations. It just hasn't gotten sexy yet for a billionaire to get associated with it. I mean, after all, that's a lot of money, and it could do wonders.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on it. They'll get some people come along. It'll happen, but it has to be shown to be a reliable crop. It has to. There's still a lot of lobbyists. We're still facing a lot of things in Congress where it's going to prevent industrial hemp for industrial solutions to get to point, and
Sure.
Until we get a point B that says we have this amount of volume, look, I've heard some disastrous feedback about the nature of our soil in the Midwest.
Yep.
And right, wrong, or indifferent, whether we're wrong by 20% or even 50%, they're saying we have 60, 70 years worth of arable soil left where we can farm it. And there's enough nitrates probably in the farmlands out in the Midwest to last forever. But in terms of, but we hear things like CHS. There's some rumors floating around that the largest farming co-op in the United States may be having some issues with providing fertilizer because 25%, as I understand it, of our fertilizer came from Russia and the Ukraine.
Right.
So there's going to be what we call in supply chain a bullwhip effect, a domino effect, where people may be turning to alternative cover crops like hemp, right, because we're not going to be able to generate the corn or the soybean. I mean, it may not happen this year because they have their contract, but it could happen next year or the year after.
Sure.
Where we're seeing some disastrous results with regards to mainstream America and its agricultural dominance.
Yeah, we are definitely on some kind of cusp. So something's going to change one way or the other. And I'm an optimist, and I'm hoping that, the smart people of America and the world can get together and figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else should listeners know about you or the American Hemp Corporation or any of the work that you're doing out there in Nevada?
Well, first thing is we don't quit. Perseverance is many times the secret to success. And there's always a solution to something, to every issue. The way I look at things at the work level, where's the labor going to come from for the hemp processing center? All these little things at the workflow level, these issues are connected to what we call disconnects at the process level. So if we want to manufacture, all right, we got to solve the issues, and that's where Lean Six Sigma comes in place in quality control. We solve problems at the work level, which then cascade or aggregate up to the process level. And then when you get the disconnects solved or start to minimize the disconnects at the process level, that solves defects at the business level. So we have a defect right now that says we do not have an integrated ecosystem of assured supply with assured refinement and assured demand humming. I don't think it's humming anywhere. We have islands of excellence everywhere. We're making hemp boards in Kentucky, hempcrete. We're doing all kinds of stuff all over the place. But in terms of having a true ecosystem that's integrated, we don't have that. We don't have the banking. We don't have the insurance at the levels that we need to have it at. And we need to have younger generation visionaries moving into this segment. And not a bunch of old geezers that know how to make money, but we're going to, have fun using industrial hemp. There's challenges that, it's not going to be that easy, but the minute we get a hemp processing center in Northern Nevada, Eric, it's going to send shockwaves along the Western United States. I mean, we got guys with $1 billion plant in Oregon growing poplar trees, and they're using that for fiber. But it takes 15 years to grow poplar trees to a point where you can use them. So, we all know the facts of hemp. We all know that it takes this. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to say about the co-op is that we're going to monetize in a slightly different way carbon credits and carbon sequestration. That's going to be a whole chocolate icing on the cake for the farmer. After he grows his hemp, by pooling the volumes together, we will get carbon credit companies come to us and say, oh, you got 20,000 acres. Well, that's good. Let's strike a deal. They're not going to come out to a farmer that's got 10 acres.
Sure.
It's just not going to happen. So one of the things we can do with the new generation co-op, which is exempt from all the federal trade regulations out there, is that what we can do inside the co-op, we can't do outside the co-op. I can't get people together outside and collaborate and collude. That's called price fixing. But inside the co-op, I can. In the new generation co-op, we can do that. We can combine our volumes. And that's where we think the magic sauce is going to be. And once the engine of change kicks in and people start making money, they're going to be fighting to get into the co-op. We're not going to take everybody. We're going to be very discreet.
All right. Well, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to watching your success. And I wish you really good luck out there in Nevada. And it's been a pleasure talking to you and learning about American Hemp Corporation.
Thank you. And if you do go on another tour, make it down here to Nevada. We'll have something to show you by then.
All right. Bob Daniell from American Hemp Corporation, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right, well, that does it for today's show. Thank you for listening. But before I go, I got a couple of things I want to mention. First, I want to shout out to the folks at Dash Hemp out there in Santa Cruz, California. I bought the nicest blue hemp shirt from Richard Dash there on the Expo floor at Noco. So check them out, dashhemp.com. Get yourself some good hemp clothing. Also, and I'm not sure how to bring this up, but there is some discussion over here on my side of things, sort of coming from the marketing department, that maybe they don't think our show has the right name and they want us to think about new names for the show. So I wanted to throw that out to you, the listening audience. What do you think of our name? Do you like the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast? Or should we change it up? So I just want to throw this out there that if you have some suggestions for new names, and these can be serious or not so serious, but send them to me. I would love to hear what you think our show could be called or should be called. All right, email me at podcast@lancasterfarming.com. Is this a contest? I don't know, but if we end up using your name, I will totally send you something, okay? All right, so my name is Eric Herlock. I'm the digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com and also get a subscription to our print edition, and we will send you our weekly newspaper, an actual newspaper. Remember those? Anyway, until next time, I'll see you in the newspaper.
industrial hemp.
Season 2, Episode 10 of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2022 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, which is part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show is written and recorded, edited and produced and put together with love by yours truly, Eric Harlock. And the music you hear throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow. Have you ever wondered what Tin Bird Shadow is? I'll give you a hint. It's me.